Speaking of adding, there is apparently the opportunity for one team to add Haason Reddick to their pass rush group defensively as CAA fired Haason Reddick. He then links up with Drew Rosenhaus. And we learned early this morning that the Jets had given Haason Reddick and his team a limited window to explore an avenue to trade. It looks like it's about 12 hours or so that they're, giving him, or a day or two, to evaluate all of these potential options to see if there's a trade market out there for Haason Reddick, who hasn't played all this season, didn't play in the preseason, didn't show up to training camp. So if you're a prospective team inquiring about Haason Reddick, there are a lot of follow-up questions you got to ask. What shape is he in? What are his contract demands? Because the Eagles moved on from him. The Jets traded for him, and it had been a nightmare. It has been a nightmare for the Jets. Hasn't done a single thing with the team. And so you don't want to be the team that calls up the Jets and talks to Drew Rosenhaus and makes this move and then finds yourself in the exact same situation that the New York Jets found themselves in the entire summer and now through 6 weeks of the NFL regular season. But let's talk about it, because he used to play here. The position he plays is very important to what is plaguing the Cardinals right now as a team, but specifically defensively. Should the Cardinals be interested? And all we're going to do here in this segment, maybe I'll give my answer by the end of the show, is we're going to make the case for both sides. So we're going to ask a series of questions here, and we're going to make the case for yes, and we're going to make the case for no. You can tell me what you want to do, 602-260-1060. You can join in, say what you are willing to give up for Haason Reddick. Do you even want him? You can be a part of the conversation on the show here today. So let's just make the case for yes. It's a pretty simple case to make. If there's one thing that this Cardinals team lacks right now, it is a consistent ability to get after the quarterback and create sustained pressure. The way you win football games in the modern NFL is you have to get these quarterbacks off schedule. The rules are in their favor. The offensive schemes are in their favor. You have to get them off platform. And there are some that even when you get them off platform, they're trouble. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen last night, Lamar Jackson. I get it. But if you can consistently get pressure, it in the long run is going to be a benefit for your team. It is going to free up your secondary to be able to make plays, because throws get rushed, and then guys can jump into throwing lanes and into windows and create turnovers. You need to be a team that creates havoc. And what the Cardinals have been unable to do is create that havoc consistently enough to win up front. When we talk about the defense of the Arizona Cardinals, it's not a scheme issue that we're talking about. It's a personnel issue. Well, you can fix your personnel issue by getting one of the best pass rushers in the game right now. And I know he's been sitting out. And I know he's on his fifth or sixth team at this point. And I know he's somebody that you worry, at least I would, if you give him the long-term contract, is he going to kind of check out? Is he not going to be as hungry? Or is he going to be the player that he was when he was having these one-year deals in Carolina and then went to Philly and then now with the Jets? These are all questions. Now, I think he's got better advice, better counsel in his corner with a new agency that's probably going to push him in the right direction. So the case for yes is incredibly simple. This is a need that the Arizona Cardinals have. There is a very rare, unique opportunity to address that need via a trade. Monti Ossenfort is very good at wheeling and dealing. He loves this. This is what everybody thinks is one of his strengths. Here is an opportunity to do so. The case for no, I think, probably gets cleared up via a conversation. Because your case for no is, what shape is he in? Where are we at as a team this season? Does he help us right now? What exactly is he looking for in an extension? Is he just looking for more money in year one? Is he looking for a long-term deal? The case for no, I think, stems off of what the answers to those questions are. You might not want him if the number that he's asking for in terms of a long-term deal doesn't match up with what you're trying to do. And so that leads us to the next pillar of this conversation is he clearly wants an extension. The Jets apparently tried to give him a bonus on his one-year deal, try to bump that up a little bit to give him some cash, and he didn't want that. So should the Cardinals trade for him if he wants an extension? Yes or no? We'll make the case for yes. Haason Reddick, while an older player on the other side of 30, is still a very productive player. And we're not talking about we're not talking about a 4, 5, 6-year deal, right? You're probably talking at most a 4-year deal, but probably in the 2 to 3 year deal range. And that's within the window that the Arizona Cardinals are trying to operate in, that is in line with their path to sustained success in the National Football League. That is, I think, would be on their timeline or process. We were going to talk about the Phoenix Suns and the Philadelphia 76ers, the process, the timeline. That would be in line with their organizational philosophy of how they're choosing to build this. And if by the time the deal runs out and by the time the process reaches its peak for the Arizona Cardinals, hopefully getting Haason Reddick into your building buys you time to develop a Darius Robinson, to acquire additional pass rushers, whether it is through the draft or via free agency, so that you have a more well-rounded group. But you need a stud, and getting a stud right out of the gates can kind of lower the temperature a little bit, can lower the pressure on needing to get very immediate, impactful starters at that position. It allows you to take a more conservative outlook with Darius Robinson. And if Darius Robinson exceeds those expectations, now you've got two guys that can lead your front and get after the quarterback. That feels a lot better than where we sit right now with Darius Robinson on the sideline, no Haason Reddick in this building, and we're all looking around wondering who's going to be the person that's going to consistently get after the quarterback. Now, producer Dylan, you don't know this story, but I will tell this story because it feels a little weird to me to be talking about Haason Reddick because, and new show this week, day 2, you're going to learn a lot about me. This is not my first rodeo on these airwaves. Way back in the day, I did a show here, and I had a little bit of a flashback there in the moment talking about Haason Reddick's impact for the Arizona Cardinals because I sat across from where I am standing right now, and I talked about what the Cardinals should do with Haason Reddick and the franchise tag and should he still be here. And so it brought back all of those memories. It brought back all of those flashbacks of having that conversation because here we are all this time later, 2024, talking about would Haason Reddick make the Cardinals a better team when they could have just probably kept him the entire time. And so the two questions you have to ask yourself are, should the Cardinals be interested? And would you be interested in him if he wants an extension? That's it. Those are the two main things you have to overcome. You have to internally see if this guy helps your situation, helps your building, and you think he's going to be a good fit, and then determine what his contract requests, demands look like, and seeing if that fits in with what you're doing. Now, we know the Cardinals still have a ton of cap space. We know they've kind of saved some room to be able to make moves like this. And so we'll talk a little bit later on here in the program about Monti Ossenfort's role in all of this and how I think, and maybe this is me tipping my hand onto how I feel about this situation, but we'll talk a little bit later on in the show about how I think Monti Ossenfort, if he wants to be taken seriously as a really good GM in this league, this is his moment. This is his opportunity to meet the moment for this team and help them. This team is screaming for help. And I think if you structure the deal the right way that goes beyond this season, you are not only getting a short-term answer in the building to maybe help you stabilize this year and give you an outside shot of making a run. I mean, we're going to do every Tuesday, we'll do our NFL power rankings. So we've got our week 6 NFL power rankings, highly scientific. I rank the 10 best teams in the National Football League. So again, big time, lengthy process that we do for this. But in doing that this morning, putting together these power rankings, I was looking at the state of the NFL right now, and the door's still open at 2-4 for the Arizona Cardinals. You can't give up 6 weeks into the season. And so if you're not going to give up 6 weeks into the season, that means you're going to look for opportunities to make your team better. And Haason Reddick being available, and Haason Reddick, I think at least as of this moment, still being a New York Jet. I am going to check the phone here on the fly to see if he's been traded. It doesn't look like he has been. This is the moment. This is the opportunity to give your team that shot in the arm for this year. And if you structure the deal correctly, it is an opportunity to have a core, or at least a member of your core, to build around for 2025. Because this team cannot go into another offseason under this organization, in terms of the front office organization, with pass rush being the top of the list. Because then it means they would have failed in their approach up until this point. Because it's not a new phenomenon. They don't have an expiring contract of a star pass rusher that's older that they're moving on from. No, this has been a problem since Monti Ossenfort walked into this building. And so far, they've invested in some draft capital in a player that we have not seen yet. That's not Monty's fault. It's not the player's fault. Injuries happen. But they cannot walk into another offseason with that being their big fish to land, because it's everybody's big fish to land. And so when an opportunity like this pops up, it would be wise to really, really investigate if it's going to help your team. And that's not to say they absolutely have to do it no matter what the asking price is from both the Jets and from Haason Reddick. You have to see if it makes sense in the philosophy of your organization. But this is a golden opportunity. And if this is not explored to its fullest extent, I think that would be a mistake for this organization.